Don't think you know Sharia or Islamic law because you saw something on TV. The majority of Muslims don't understand Islamic law. And I'll give you an example. How many Australians would have read the Constitution from cover to cover? I would say, other than lawyers and law students, the very, very vast majority would never have read the Constitution of Australia. Yet, we're all bound by the Constitution of Australia. Sharia law is basically the divine law. It's broken up into two basic categories. The primary sources, which is the Quran, and the prophetic tradition. Those things are immutable, they're unchangeable, they're in Arabic. We believe it's how the Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad by God, by Allah. That's it. Then the second part of it is what they call the legal reasoning, if you like. How those texts, those primary sources, the Quran and the prophetic tradition, are interpreted. Now the second part of it, the secondary aspect of it, if you like, they're dynamic and they're constantly changing, and they change according to circumstances, they change according to time, they change according to the environment in which they're applied.
Sharia law is really just the whole Islamic legal system. So it covers from how I pray, what food I eat, how I conduct myself, how I might do my will as well, or how I might do my financial transaction. That it all fits within the Australian legal framework. It doesn't run as a parallel system. It runs as a system that you can follow as a Muslim on a day-to-day basis to deal with your affairs within the framework of the Australian legal system. Exactly the same as how the Jewish laws run. They have their own tribunals and courts. So Sharia law can be applied in that instance for Muslims for their benefit of their religious needs in that regards within the Australian legal system.
Our commitment to Sharia in the very, very vast majority of circumstances doesn't conflict with upholding Australian laws. In my view, in my own personal research as a lawyer and as a person who studied Sharia, is that 97% of Australian laws are exactly the same as Sharia. Not Sharia, but Sharia compliant. If it had a different name, it'd be exactly the same as Sharia. I remember when I was studying, for example, power of attorney in Islamic law, it's exactly the same as power of attorney in Australia. Contract is exactly the same. It's jury system, due process in courts, the rule of law, so many different areas. Sometimes Muslims are put in a position of conflict because they're bound to follow both the prophetic law or the sacred law, the Sharia, and they're also bound to follow the Australian law. So for example, in Australia it's legal to drink alcohol. No one's forcing anyone to drink alcohol. So that's a law that we don't have a problem with. In the Quran there's a verse that talks about how the Muslims should act towards non-Muslims. And it says, "Birruhum wa aqsitu ilayhim." So al-birr is to do anything good and positive to them. Anything good and positive that we have, we should be doing to non-Muslims. Wa aqsitu means don't go against them. So we shouldn't be going against the institutions that are there. So like one of the big ones is standing up for judges and things like that. And the Prophet, he's got a tradition that says, "Anzilun nas fi manazilihim." Put people in according to their places. So if it's respectful to stand for the judge, then stand for the judge. Bowing is a different thing because we don't bow to anyone or anything except Allah. So we should respect all those institutions if we want people to respect us.
We have complete religious freedom to practice as we please. And that's actually a very, very amazing thing that we have that people take for granted. Under Sharia law, an Australian Muslim is obliged to follow the laws of the land, the laws of Australia, unless those laws go directly against your faith. And might I add, in Australia there is freedom of religion, so you're obliged to follow the laws. It's like you follow the laws and then in return the government gives you safety, it gives you security, it gives you access to medical treatment when you're sick. So you have your obligations and the government has obligations back to you. So it doesn't have to be one is exclusive to the other. You can live as an Australian, as a Muslim, follow both rules and regulations very easily, and 600,000 Australian Muslims are doing it every day.
The sources of the law may be different, but I think the purposes are exactly the same, which is to benefit humankind, which is to make sure that people live justly, that people aren't oppressed, that you can buy a car and not have someone else take the car and you can't get it back. Basically what a Muslim can do is use the Australian system to implement Sharia, and every Muslim would be happy with that, and every Australian would be happy with that because it's all under the guise of the judicial system.